Redditors who have opted out of a standard approach to life, study then full-time work, mortgage etc. Please share your stories. What are the best and worst things about your lifestyle, and do you have any regrets? In 2006 I quit my job and started living on the road. I pick up odd jobs and do freelance web development. I've been a baker, a photographer, done construction, wine vintner, retail sales, trimmed marijuana, built an earthship, you name it. Had a trailer at first, then a really big van. Now I'm in an 80s model Toyota van. My only real bills are cell phone and car insurance. Haven't paid rent in almost 12 years. It's not for everyone. There are tons of sacrifices to comfort, but I love it. I have a very rare and unusual job, and I move around a lot, like every year or two basically for the last 15 years. I just made it past 40 and don't even bother getting furniture. I kinda still live like I'm in my 20s. Never married, not planning on kids. I like it as I'm always working on new and exciting things, sometimes a completely different topic than my last job. I have friends all over the world at this point, which makes it a lot of fun. But I'm starting to get to that point where I'm thinking it's getting weird to keep this lifestyle at my age. I don't have any regrets, but I wonder if I will when I'm old and retired. I went part-time for a little while, working 8 AM 6 PM Monday to Wednesday in my call center job after having a bit of a breakdown. I was already just renting a room in a shared house that included all my bills, so after that I just had to feed myself and top up my mobile phone. It wasn't really opting out of standard life, but people were asking why an otherwise fit and healthy 22-year-old wasn't working full-time and was always asked how I'd afford to live. I basically led a pretty simple life and lived well within my means, so I didn't have any money worries. Brought home about £800 a month. Spent £400 on rent. £10 a month on my mobile phone. About £25.30 a week on food. I worked out a lot. Was trying to bulk up. I met up with friends and did free or cheap things. I was happy to stay in and just listen to music or watch YouTube, do cheap creative things etc. I still had money left at the end of the month and loads of free time. No car, kids or debt, and I walked everywhere. 3 adults live in our house. Me, my wife, and our super friend. C. She has no plans to date or look for another person, so she might just be with us forever. So basically in our house we have mom, dad, 2 kids, and another adult parent. It means each adult covers 1/3 of things, not half. My wife and I can have a date and don't have to look for a babysitter. The 2 girls can go out and be as late as they want. Historically my wife and I have been horrible at cooking, but C loves it. It's not a very common lifestyle in the US and we often get odd looks. But usually when we talk about it with people they see it as a bonus. It was weird to consider at first, but it has just helped in so many ways. I work at a shipyard at least 40 hours a week and work on call 24/7 days a week. I work 100 hours a week sometimes and rarely get more than 6 hours of sleep. I'm in my mid-20s and have been doing this since high school. A lot of people get upset that my life revolves around work and that everything else is second. It is bothersome to constantly cancel plans or never know if I have to leave halfway through an event. But as a former heavy drug user and all-around freak up, this lifestyle suits me. I'm never broke. Can buy anything I want for, and have no time to get into trouble. Work is my solution to staying clean and being healthy, and I love it. I've been working on cruise ships for 10 years. No bills on board and paid world travel. I'm a musician on board and only work at night. Most of my paycheck goes into the stock market. Currently 34, planning to retire by 40. Left college and got a 9-5 office job but hated it. Started doing 3D animation freelance on the side. That led to making enough freelancing that I quit my 9-5 job. I just got hired full-time by one of the places I contacted for, but I still make my own hours and work remotely. Best of both worlds, and I'm doing what I love. I left Canada when I was 24 for various reasons and spent several years as an expat. That also meant learning a couple of other languages. Anyway, I've always been interested in languages and fairly good at learning them. So after a few years as an expat and increasing frustration with the system I was working in at the time, I changed careers and became a freelance translator. Since the job is entirely online, I can do it from anywhere with an internet connection. My husband also works online and so we travel basically full time, staying in different countries for the 3-6 months we typically get there visa free. We work during the week and visit tourist sites or travel around the country on the weekends. Since we live in cheap countries and travel frugally, this lifestyle is actually cheaper than living in Canada full-time would be, especially since I'm from Toronto. The ability to travel is obviously a huge plus, and I appreciate the freedom of working for myself. I've never been a morning person and always struggled to get up early for work even after years of doing so, but now I don't have to. I can fire clients who are too much of a pain in the butt. I would say there are two real disadvantages for me. The first is the lack of community. I can meet people wherever I'm living and of course I talk to friends online, but I don't have any consistent group of people I can hang out with, and I often feel that loss. The other is that Canada now feels like a foreign country every time I go back, but I look like I belong there. So I end up both being very critical about things that Canadians just take for granted and also looking like a total idiot sometimes because I don't know how to do something people have been doing for years but I've never seen before. From age 13, churches have been generous to me in paying for my services as organist and music director. One pastor, in particular, paid for my music studies for years leading up to college entrance, including organ, theory, conducting, and ear training. While friends and family looked forward to having free weekends, mine were always spent making music in church, accompanying university choruses, or playing solo recitals. I've never had a free Christmas or New Year's holiday. They were all spent working hard, and long hours, on making things nice for others through celebratory seasonal music. There are no regrets. I'm sincerely thankful for all the opportunities that have come my way, and all the generous people who've helped make it happen. I am single and don't have kids, mostly by choice. I'm 39. These days, it is starting to wear on me a bit. Although I really enjoy my alone time, and need a lot of it in my life, I think I am fairly ready for a partner with whom to explore, even just locally. Although, probably not kids. My only regrets are that when I am much older, I won't necessarily have a family support network in place to care for me, and I won't be passing on my view of the world to others. I went crazy man in the woods wilderness backpacking for 5 years in my late 20s. It really set me back career-wise. I'm still not used to anything in the city. I feel feral. I live a pretty simple life. I never went to college. My parents homeschooled me K-12 and honestly neglected to teach me a majority of what most kids learn in school. I'm horribly embarrassed by the lack of knowledge I have in certain areas. I'm not stupid, perfectly average IQ of 97, but I don't have the same book smarts as most people. I tried to do some classes, but I got so much anxiety from the classroom setting since I was never in it, so I decided it wasn't for me and perhaps one day I'd go back if I ever felt a strong enough desire. I've been mostly working retail since moving out of my parents, and while it hasn't been easy, I honestly enjoy it. I don't get paid for crap, but I absolutely love serving people in a retail or customer service setting. I'm currently an assistant manager for an awesome store. I have an amazing manager, a tolerable district manager, and a great team. Other than the lack of money, I do really love managing and supporting a team like this. It can be really trying, but at the end of the day I am so fulfilled. I enjoy serving my customers and making them feel good about what I sell to them. I enjoy reaching goals with my team. The only thing I would change is I wish I had gotten on the ball about getting a car. I don't have one right now and it's a bummer, but I'm working really hard to get one and to learn to drive. I'm a bit behind on things compared to other people my age, but I just don't let it get me down. At the end of the day, I'm happy. I don't have to have a degree, a car, or a super cushy job to be happy. I love my little apartment, my bus rides, my job that lets me be myself, and my life overall. It sucks living in a college town having never went to college. People look at me like I'm an alien when I tell them I didn't go and I probably won't. Like I said, I'm not stupid. I am relatively well read, and not to toot my own horn, but I do feel I'm quite emotionally and professionally mature. People my own age often shock me with their lack of maturity or self-awareness. I'm doing the best I can. I can sleep at night with the decisions I've made. I'm generally pretty happy. I'm making up for lost time in my childhood by having a thirst for knowledge, even if that isn't in a college setting. I love my life. I truly do. In my mind, that's what really matters. It's a bit more like standard life opted out of me. Crippling fibro and chronic frequent migraines make a normal lifestyle impossible. Pros: I have time to read and game a lot more than I would, and I can study things I like for fun. I can draw when I feel up to it. Cons: pain. All the pain all the time. Severely limited money. Migraines. Frequently. So many things I'll never be able to do. Lots of things I can't do anymore. People looking down on me and seeing me as worthless. Feeling worthless. Trying to maintain healthy weight ABD muscle despite pain. 3 years ago I quit my job and installed solar onto my fifth wheel camper and traveled around the Rocky Mountains when it was warm, then followed the heat to Arizona-California border. The first few months I worked at a primitive campground making crap money, but I hiked a lot and found about $1,000 worth of elk antlers. The last 2 years I've hiked around 50 miles a week collecting antlers and selling them. For parts of the year, I've come home and gotten a job for a few months when money ran low. It's pretty rewarding and fun most of the time, but being alone for months on end can get to you pretty quickly. The only problem is that I just cannot fathom going back to civilization and working full time and a desk job, or any job really. The best things can also be the worst things at times. I make my own schedule. I can sleep in or stay up until 3 AM with no repercussions. This also means if you get in a funk and do nothing for 2 weeks, you really set yourself back. My biggest financial regret is wasting a few years and some money trying out college when it wasn't for me. If I hadn't gone to college and had gone right into firefighting and traveling, I'd be living quite comfortably, probably owning a cheap little home in my favorite town in New Mexico. Fortunately I'm only 26, so I've still got time to chase the dreams some more. Dropped out of grad school, moved to India to write for magazines, wrote a book, moved back to the States, wrote more books, have a house, work when I want to, play a lot. Okay, I never thought my life choices would be relevant for someone else, but here we go. I got married at 17. I worked 2 part-time jobs for a while, joined the National Guard, then started working at a factory once I got done with training. My dad got me the job. Without him I would have never been able to do the rest of this. About a year into my marriage I had a daughter, bought a house, bought a car, and then I topped out at my factory job, got another car, so I live paycheck to paycheck, but my original vehicles all broke down. I work a lot, like way too much. It definitely strains my marriage, but we're working through it. I'm also looking for better work, but that's hard with no skills other than my job. My wife goes to school and is on her way to being a nurse. Then I'll go to school. It's hard though. I'm tired, broke, and worried about the future all the time. I've got a great life. I wouldn't trade it for anything. I don't know if it's that big of an opt-out, but I never really liked school. I was expelled in high school my senior year for truancy, went to film school for a year before transferring to NYU as a means of coming to New York City. I got a summer job, which offered me a full-time job, since NYU was crazy expensive, and the only reason to go to college was to get a good job, and they were offering me a good job. I went with the job, never finished college. Been doing okay ever since. There was a 2-year period where I had quit my last job and was self-employed before a friend told me about a cool place she worked that was looking for someone like me. So I've been there for a couple years now. My life now is probably that fairly standard thing. I turned 47 today. I went to college, PhD and crap, but I never settled. I left my country at 24 to never come back. Lived in more than a dozen cities on 5 continents. Traveling abroad 3-4 weeks month for work. I never wanted to have kids, nor get seriously involved with a woman. Dating here and there, often several women on different time zones. But all this might change soon. I had a kid at 18 in a bad situation. Was a single parent for 18 years. Got into software. Had a high income and low spending. Sold a house at the right time, and suddenly realized I didn't have to work anymore. So I rode my bicycle all around the world for a few years, and now I'm going to sail a boat around the world. I started out standard, went to college, then on to grad school, got a 9-6 gig. I sat at a desk writing copy about crap I didn't care about, but more profoundly, I detested the idea that I had to stay in one spot doing BS work because someone else said so. At the 1-year review, they offered me a raise. I quit. First step was to figure out how to make money. As a writer, I went looking for freelance writing gigs. I worked from home, rarely leaving and just clicking away, writing whatever I could find. This non-standard approach to building a career led to many other non-standard things. Working from home, I eat at different times than most. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. Frick that. I eat inconsistently and only when I'm hungry. Likewise, I sleep and wake at odd hours. I have a few drinks whenever I want. I ignore phone calls at 2 p.m. and send emails at 2 a.m. I'll call off work for a week because I want to play a video game, or drop some cash on something frivolous. Just because. I do whatever I want, whenever I want, in large part because I've ditched the old way of thinking, the 9/5 thinking, the standard thinking. It's like a runaway train. Once you really look at your day to day and start asking, why do I do it this way? It leads you to insights like, do I really need a house? Do I really need to sleep at this time? Do I really need to do anything other than what I want to do? Ultimately, no, I don't. It's been about 10 years now. I have no car, no mortgage, no kids, not much furniture or other stuff. I have only my pets, my work and total freaking freedom every single day. There's a lot of risk involved in going it alone and there's stress. There's also a fair amount of isolation because few people live this way. They usually have some kind of routine, and even if they work alone, or not at all, most never break themselves of the old 9/5 breakfast lunch dinner mindset we grow up with. So that's a downside. But overall, I have very few regrets and am thankful for my unusual life. Well worth the risk. Your position on ditching the 9-5 way of thinking definitely rings true. Some of my most productive work has been at 1 to 2 a.m. I spent 10 straight years in education, all focused on a career in IT. After just 10 months into my dream job, which I landed straight out of uni, I gave it all away to become a professional musician, which had previously just been a hobby. Now I live by all accounts as an unemployed and unregistered citizen in a foreign country with my bandmates, in a small house in the middle of nowhere, in pursuit of our common dream of making the big time. It has been a bitter realization that I sort of wasted all that time earlier in my life training to be someone I hope never to be right now, but I wouldn't have made the leap if I didn't believe we could do it. Best thing? I'm not sure there is one for the moment, just a combination of lots of small perks. Worst thing? We're all broke. Dropped out of senior year of college to become a Green Beret. Everyone told me to finish school, do this and that, you're messing your life up, etc. I hated my major and felt like I was missing something in life. Truth is, I just wanted to help people, so I decided to specialize as a medical sergeant so I can get extensive medical training, then eventually go back to school when I feel the time is right. I was blessed to be capable of putting my body through such physical and mental stress, and not fulfilling my potential would have been a waste. Do what makes you happy even if it's not the social norm. You have been visited by the Wealth Rat. Subscribe in 12 seconds and he will share his wealth with you. Thanks for watching. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day, you magnificent people.